to just give a quick overview of the All Kids campaign and what we're doing here in Oakland. Just kind of set some context for why we decided it might be a good idea to try to invite some allies in Los Angeles to share about kind of what they're trying to do and how they work together as a group of community-based organizations, parents, working for change and improvement in the Los Angeles public schools. So first, just a couple key pieces of context. One is we want to just take a minute to remind ourselves that despite our challenges here in Oakland, we are the most improved school district in the state of California over the last 7 years. So the measure that we have is the Academic Performance Index. Red, the dots are schools. This is 1999. Red is below 500, and blue is above 800 on the Academic Performance Index, and it goes from 200 to 1,000. So in 1999, we were red across the city, below 500. Today, this is the 2011, the last time these scores were run. I think there are only 5 red dots on this map. In the previous map, I think there were 5 blue dots, and they were all in the hills. And you can see there's now blue and green across the city, and that is the result of a lot of hard work by our students, by families, and educators across the city. So whatever we do going forward, we want to build on the strengths of what we're doing, and we just believe that our community has a lot of strength. The other key piece of context on our local campaign is that we are in the midst of the worst crisis in funding for public education, at least in my lifetime and many of our lifetimes. It is totally unacceptable that California, and I think this is from 2010, so it's probably worse, ranks at or near the bottom on all of these indicators of resourcing public education in the state. And one of the number that really struck me the most was as a percent of personal income, the rest of the United States, on average, Americans are spending 4.3% to fund public schools. In California, we're only spending about 3.3%. So like for every $100 that someone makes, we give $1 less to our kids in the state of California. And this fall, we must create an opportunity for ourselves to, and on the November 2012 ballot, to increase the resources that are available to our teachers, parents, principals, district personnel, to have quality public schools for all kids. This campaign, and so look for more information from Go about that issue. This campaign is about how do we come together with the resources that we have and empower those closest to our kids, their parents, their teachers, their principals, other staff at school sites, to use the resources and make the best decisions to meet student needs. So, as Jessica mentioned, we've started to bring together a coalition of community-based organizations, faith leaders, community leaders from across the city. Over 2,000 folks have endorsed a petition since I think we started collecting signatures, Ron, in November, something like that. Parents, teachers, community folks, calling on the Board of Education to implement full-service community schools by increasing local decision-making. What do we mean by local decision-making? 2 key values. It means that school communities make as many of the decisions as possible to meet student needs. And how are we defining school communities? We're seeing parents, students, teachers, school staff, and principals. Of course, that's going to look different at the high school, middle school, and elementary school level. You can imagine the role the students might play. We're looking for local decision-making in 4 key areas: program, curriculum, budget, staffing, and schedule. What do we mean by that? So in terms of educational programs, that's the local decision-making authority to implement curriculum and instruction tailored to meet the needs of those students. School site budgets, that's the authority to make as many of the decisions as possible about how the scarce resources are invested at school sites. Staffing, the decisions around how to hire, how to support, how to retain teachers at schools. And schedule could be longer school day, different school day schedules, as well as different school year schedules to best meet student needs. So to offer just a quick testimony about why this is important, how this is playing out, I want to invite Ebony Miller, who's a parent at Hoover Elementary, to come up and just share a quick perspective on why she's supporting this. So, Ebony, thank you.
You guys hear me? I know it's not a microphone. So I'm here because I completely support the campaign. And what really got me is that I'm actually going through the same thing that you guys are trying to implement about parent involvement with trying to organize a PTC at Hoover Elementary. Parents were, willing to be involved. That wasn't the issue. The issue was the school and the staff that wasn't allowing us to come in and be a part of our children's education. So I believe that is really important because just from 3 months of organizing this parent-teacher club, my daughter has greatly improved in school. I mean, like 5 and 6 awards at a time. It has been very difficult, very stressful, just dealing with the principal, just a little bit of her telling us that we'll never be like the Hill School, or the money that we raised wasn't enough. But I know that we've been meeting outside in the rain, and it's cold. We've been meeting in the cold. Parents are discouraged. Latin parents have said that it was easier in Mexico to get involved in their children's education. They thought it would be even better when they come here, but they're getting discouraged and they want to give up. So, we continue to fight, every day after school to be involved and fundraise for our children. And the thing is, we can't give up because if we stop, then our children will stop. And I know that my child will eventually start feeling less worthless, less worthy at her school if I'm not there. But she makes comments like, "You're the president of the PTC," and she even went so far as to make a list, organize kids for cheerleading and dance team. We had a successful event with over 200 parents and students attend, and everybody was very happy, very, very happy. And it was so wonderful that our support came from people like Richard, Jamoco from OUSD school board. Yeah, support came from them. Everybody in the community just came and helped us, and it was just amazing how things just came about, because I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew I had to get the trust of the parents there at the school. I really feel that community, parents, involvement in school is really what needs to be done. They have all these strategic plans, which you need to think about when you're strategically planning what you're going to do for the school. Who are the people that are making these plans? Did these people go to Oakland schools? Do they have children in Oakland schools? Do they know what we've been through? Do they know what it's like for our home life? So, that's just something to think about. These are our schools, these are our children, and we need to be involved. We need to own this, and we need to not go.
The Thriving Students vision set forth by our board and our superintendent around full-service community schools. To us, implicit in that is this idea of community ownership of the school, parent ownership around the school, and we think that value is very present and aligned with the campaign that we're wanting to organize here at Advance today. So I want to just quickly acknowledge we've got a board member from District 3, Jamoke Hodge. We've got former District 2 board member. Is that
District
right?
2.
District 2 board member, Bob Spencer in the room. Thanks. Any other electeds? Victoria's right, and I know. And then, so I also want to acknowledge current District 2 board member David Kakishiba. Who's here actually invite Director Kakishiba to come up as part of our program. Director Kakishiba is chairing a special committee of the board that Director Spearman and Director Dobbins sit on right now that is looking at site-based management and decision-making and hearing testimony from parents, from teachers, from labor partners about the role of site-based decision-making. And my understanding is that they are working toward a policy. And I think their draft policy that they discussed at last night's special committee meeting is actually in your packet. But we wanted to give Director Kakishiba a chance to kind of share a little bit about what that committee and that process is looking at. So, thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. I was asked to share the work of this special committee on school-based management and budgeting. This committee was formed, actually was charged back in November, December, sort of as an outgrowth, sort of the next step. The board had adopted a broad kind of theory of action for setting a general kind of tone and direction for the superintendent to frame the strategic plan around. And there are a number of elements in our theory of action, but probably the three most important elements was, one is an issue around increasing the sort of the level of effective instruction in all of our classrooms and all of our schools. The second was to consider the engagement of a diverse array of service providers, whether it be schools, Alameda County Healthcare Services agencies, Boys and Girls Clubs, a whole array of folks, community partners, to help build full-service community schools throughout the city. And then the third thing was in the context of district's priorities, its strategic priorities, and its performance accountability standards, that there is greater authority and responsibility be given to school leaders to be able to determine how to utilize and align resources, namely how to align people, or rather staffing, how to align money or budgets around time, meaning school days, school calendar, and then the fourth was around curriculum, instruction, and different kinds of student support programs. To be able to, again, to give schools greater latitude and authority in the context of being able to achieve district-wide strategic priorities and concretely just meeting the very specific and unique needs of young people in their respective school communities. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's not a big, profound, kind of, declaration of independence or anything like that. It's literally one line around this theory of action. And so the next step to that was to establish a set of policy goals or a policy statement. And then with that policy statement around school-based management, then the superintendent would develop a comprehensive action plan or implementation plan. Appears that in your agenda is the draft that we are now starting today, is to shop this around throughout the city to different schools, to our labor partners, to community groups, and to get reactions to this. It's broad language, it's general language, it might be a little sort of education speak, but in terms of boiling it down to brass tacks, I think the big thing that we're trying to understand is if something like this were to be passed, what does it look like for your school community? What changes? What's different? What kinds of resources and guidance is needed by a school community to make this come alive. What needs to change downtown with central administration, the school board, everything in terms of district operations and district leadership. What needs to change, what needs to be different, what needs to be added in order to make some real meaningful, authentic, and effective local school governance work well for young people and for all the adults that are working in that school. That's basically it. We invite folks to take a look at it. If Go is having some kind of opportunity to be able to structure the conversation and give feedback, we'd love to hear what people are concerned about and what ideas people have. We're going to be out to the schools for the next about probably 6 weeks. We're going to reconvene again. This committee will reconvene again in April, early April, to consider all the feedback, finalize this draft, and vote. And the 3-member committee will vote on a sort of a final draft that would then be forwarded to the full school board for its action in late April. From there, assuming that the board passes something, superintendent would develop some very concrete implementation plans. And just so people know, there are some things that I think as a superintendent, he can make things move fairly immediately, and there are some things that are things that we need to work out with our labor partners in terms of contractual agreements, and those pretty much center around the area around around people, about staffing, the degree to which school leaders are able to determine the composition of their staff teams is something that needs to be discussed and negotiated in the form, ultimately in a form of a collective bargaining agreement. And so that's going to take a little bit of time, but this draft clearly states that our recommendation is that the board is, that's a clear direction that the board wants to go in. So, that's it.
So I don't think the committee has the exact kind of dates of kind of their engagement over the next 6 weeks yet. But as we get them, like when the committee will be out listening to parents and teachers and where, we'll get that out to the list about the policy. We will also get out, as we understand it, when the key either special board meetings as well as full board meetings would be, when it would be important for community to come and give testimony, at 1025 2nd Avenue. So there are, I think, at least 2 milestones that are likely to be important. One will be when the special committee, we're kind of here in March, the special committee public engagements. The next, as Director Kakishiba said, there'll be a moment where the board committee of 3 will need to approve or not approve, but hopefully approve some, policy moving out of committee to the full board. That will be an important moment for community to be in the room, giving testimony and hopefully supporting the policy. And then in late April, there will be another opportunity when the full board considers the policy, if you're supportive of the direction, to go and kind of make your voice count and heard at that moment. Yeah.
I'm kind of new to this topic, actually. Whoa. As of yesterday, I just heard about it. So my first question is, what's the downside of it? Is that going to be discussed?
Yeah.
Because my question is about, like, the RBB had some problems with it.
Yep.
So is that going to be discussed tonight?
Yeah. So the way that the rest of tonight works is we're going to invite our friends from Los Angeles up to talk about kind of what they try to do in their coalition, and then we'll break out into groups. And for those of folks who have more questions about the campaign, about the specific policy recommendations, I think that Mark and maybe Liz are going to be in a room, and Jessica will go through these logistics, but we'll have a chance for kind of deeper dialogue about the campaign and the policy. For those folks that have been coming to these meetings for the last few months and are more kind of immersed in it and ready to go, We are looking for more help gathering more signatures, and there's all kinds of different action stations that you can engage in tonight to move the campaign forward. So we're going to try to meet people where they're at, in terms of building up. Some folks are ready to go. Some folks want to understand it more, and we'll have action stations for everyone, hopefully. So with that, why don't we get panel started? All right. Yep. All right. So find our panel set. And I apologize. We're going to go up there on the stage just so everybody can hear us. And hopefully that's a good thing for the event.